4 television channels. No internet, no streaming, and for most of the decade, no chocolate behind the little cardboard doors of the advent calendar. Just a picture of a robin or a candle you'd already seen the year before. By almost every measure, a child today would recognize an 80s or 90s Christmas had less of everything. And yet, for an entire generation who lived through it, it remains the single most magical day of the entire year. And nobody who was there has ever needed it explained to them why. December at school meant the classroom itself changed shape. Desks that had spent all autumn covered in exercise books were suddenly buried under paper chains, glittery baubles, and a slightly wonky artificial tree propped in the corner, decorated with ornaments the children themselves had made the year before and the year before that. Making your own decorations wasn't optional. It was the point. Paper chains glued link by link, snowflakes cut from folded paper, and the rest of the afternoon spent picking dried PVA glue off your fingers because nobody had told you to wait for it to dry properly first. Christmas card making got a whole lesson to itself, and every table ended up covered in the same fine layer of glitter that somehow never fully went away for the rest of term. A robin cut from red and brown paper, a tree traced in glitter glue, squeezed on far too thick, left to dry overnight on the radiator, whether the teacher wanted it there or not. Every child took home a stack of them for aunties, grandparents, and neighbors, each one slightly different, each one somehow still recognizable as coming from the same set of instructions given at the front of the class. Then came the nativity play, the actual centerpiece of the entire school term. Shepherds wore tea towels tied round their heads with string. Angels wore old white sheets with a coat hanger bent into a halo and wrapped in tinsel, usually stitched together by someone's mum the night before. Whoever got cast as Mary or Joseph felt like royalty for a week. Everyone else, the third sheep on the left, the back row shepherd with one line, still felt like they were part of something enormous, because in the eyes of every proud parent crammed into those plastic chairs, they absolutely were. Carols singing rounded off the term too, going door to door or gathering outside the shops with a collection tin, badly in tune, and not remotely bothered about it. Every single year of this era had one toy that mattered more than any other, and the pressure to get it started building weeks before December even arrived. 1980 belonged entirely to the Rubik's Cube. 1983 was Cabbage Patch Kids, dolls that came with their own adoption certificate and caused genuine scuffles in shops when supply couldn't keep up with demand. 1984 and 1985 belonged to Transformers, and then Teddy Ruxpin, a storytelling bear with a cassette deck built into his back. By the early 90s, it was Game Boys and Power Rangers figures fought over in playgrounds up and down the country, and by the back half of the decade, the toy of the year had gone fully electronic. Tamagotchis in 1997, so demanding of attention that schools started banning them outright. And in December 1996, queues formed outside Woolworths for a plastic Space Ranger nobody could get hold of after Buzz Lightyear sold out everywhere in Britain days before Christmas, and stores had to fly in emergency stock just to have anything on the shelves by Christmas Eve. The Christmas number one was as much a part of the season as the tree itself. Do They Know It's Christmas by Band Aid dominated 1984, raising money for famine relief and becoming the best-selling Christmas number one of all time. A decade later, the charts turned properly strange. Mr. Blobby, a pink and yellow spotted children's TV character, took the top spot in 1993. Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, and eventually 3 straight years of the Spice Girls followed through the back half of the 90s. Whatever was playing on Radio 1 that December, it was playing in every house on the street at once, whether anyone actually liked it or not. Long before streaming existed, there was a single, unmissable ritual that arrived once a year and once a year only. The Christmas double issue of the Radio Times and TV Times, thick as a small book, landed in the newsagent and got studied cover to cover like it contained state secrets. With only 4 channels to choose from, working out exactly what was on and when wasn't a minor task. It was the plan for the entire festive fortnight, and everyone in the house had a say in it. What did you circle first in your Radio Times, the Christmas film or the big soap special? And once telly itself started running Christmas adverts, that was its own countdown clock. Cadbury's milk tray man skiing down a mountain to deliver a purple box. The Woolworths advert with shoppers doing the conga round the store. And from 1995 onward, Coca-Cola's glowing red trucks winding through a snowy town to that same jingle every single year. A tune that told the entire country the same thing at once. The holidays were coming, whether the calendar agreed yet or not. The decorations by this point had usually been up for a week or so, tinsel from Woolworths draped over picture frames. A real tree that actually smelled like a real tree rather than plastic. But Christmas Eve itself had its own separate ritual, one that had nothing to do with school or telly. A mince pie left out on a plate, a carrot for the reindeer because nobody had invented a packet of shop-bought magical reindeer food. Yet you just used whatever was in the vegetable drawer. Then came bed, and with it the single hardest thing any child was ever asked to do. Falling asleep on a night when falling asleep felt genuinely, physically impossible. Every creak of the house got measured against a mental list of what a reindeer on the roof might actually sound like. Most children were fairly sure they hadn't slept at all. Most parents, doing the actual work downstairs long after the house had gone quiet, knew otherwise. And then it was morning, usually far earlier than anyone in the house, other than the children, considered reasonable. 4 o'clock, sometimes earlier. A stocking would already be waiting at the end of the bed, filled with small things, an orange wedged into the toe, a handful of nuts still in their shells, a few little toys wrapped individually so there was something to unwrap before the real unwrapping had even started. But the stocking was never the finish line. It was the appetizer, and everybody in the house knew there was a firm rule standing between a child and the living room. You do not go downstairs until it's actually light, or worse, until mum and dad are actually awake, which led to the single longest stretch of time most children have ever experienced. Lying in bed, clutching a stocking, listening for any sign of movement from the parents' room, trying to work out exactly how much longer this could possibly be allowed to go on for. Eventually, mercifully, permission arrived, and the whole family went down the stairs together, always a little more carefully than the excitement really called for, just in case this was the year Santa hadn't actually come. He always had. A tower of presents sat under the tree, exactly where they'd left it the night before, and for the next hour or so, the living room disappeared under a blizzard of wrapping paper, while everyone tore into exactly what they'd spent the entire December hoping for. Selection boxes got opened almost immediately, chocolate for breakfast being one of the year's only genuine free passes. The rest of the day ran on a clock nobody had written down anywhere, but everybody in the country somehow followed at once. Grandparents arrived mid-morning, coats still cold from outside, presents added to the pile under the tree. New toys got tested immediately and repeatedly, batteries swapped in from the remote control the moment nobody was looking. A tin of Quality Street or Roses sat open on the coffee table by mid-morning, already missing all the good ones, and most of the coffee creams nobody wanted. The entire Christmas dinner, turkey, pigs in blankets, a Christmas pudding carried in with real brandy set alight at the table, was built quite deliberately around a single fixed point in the afternoon. Lunch happened when it happened, but everything paused completely at 3 o'clock for the Queen's speech. Whether you were mid-meal, mid-washing up, or mid-argument over who'd pulled the better cracker toy, the speech itself barely mattered. What mattered was that an entire nation of households independently agreed to stop at exactly the same moment every single year without anyone ever having to ask them to. After that came crackers, paper hats nobody wore straight, a slice of Christmas pudding most children quietly avoided in favor of picking the coin out of it, a wobbly slice of Viennetta, or a round of Battenberg if there was room left. And eventually, once the plates were cleared and the adults had gone suspiciously quiet on the sofa, the Christmas special everyone had circled in the radio times weeks before. None of it depended on having more. A 4-channel telly, a picture-only advent calendar, an orange in the toe of a stocking, none of that would look like very much laid out on a table today. What made it work was that everyone, school, telly, family, the whole country, pausing together at 3 o'clock, was doing the same small handful of things at exactly the same time, year after year, until the rhythm of it became something closer to memory than tradition. If you can still remember exactly what 4 o'clock in the morning felt like on Christmas Day, lying there with a stocking in your arms, waiting for the house to wake up, you have memories that will last you a lifetime, and that alone should make you smile. See you in the next one. Take care.